Welcome to the show, guys. It's the Big 5-0.
And the roof is red.
And the woman is French.
And the walls are white.
And the woman is French.
And the steps run down.
Our 5th episode of 2022
The woman is French.
and our 50th episode. Celebrating all that's over the hill at the Big 5-0.
And the sheet is rough. And the wine is hot.
So all things to do with the hills. They have eyes, you know. So do we.
There's a house at the top of the hill where someone's waiting for you. Waiting for you. There's a room in a house at the top of the hill where someone's waiting for you. Waiting for you. There's a door to the room in a house at the top of the hill where someone's waiting for you. Waiting for you. There's a woman at the door. There's a woman at the door. Madame Hottas, people are here. Two men coming up the hill. Zorba! There's a house at the top of the hill where someone's waiting for you.
Waiting for you.
Waiting for you.
A little excerpt from Zorba to start the show today. Whilst we're all excited about the Big 5-0, and I could have killed someone at the weekend, quite frankly, after I was hacked, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I was hacked and I was infuriated. You don't mess with the queens or the artists, because I tell you this for nothing. We don't like being messed with. It's happened for 5 years, and if they try and do it this year, well, someone's likely to be put into their grave permanently. I don't mean the Belgrave in Albert Rose, but I mean the real grave in the ground if you fuck with us, darlings. Just a warning to those that have. But here we are, celebrating our 50th episode, and all things over the hill today. And the things that have gone on in some of the hills in this land, oh my God, enough to make a whore really blush. But we'll get into that a little bit later. A little bit of the house at the top of the hill from Zorba, a wonderful show from Candor and Ebb there, and just an insight into all things concerning the hills today. And as we progress through many of the show's Big 5-0, and I'm not there yet. I'm far too young to know what it's like to be 50 yet. However, my knowledge is about 150 years old. And those of you that are old enough, or that are just past that half a century mark and enjoying your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever part of the reign you're in of your life, we are going to be mentioning a few things that have encouraged and inspired us over the year. Well, over the years and over the year thus far, the past few weeks of this wonderful year that is 2022. All things are going to plan so far in my life. We're getting the choreography happening, script writing's happening, orchestration's happening, and all the wonderful things. People are out and about. We have the musicians at the Belgrave and all along Albert Road on Saturday, who were just terrific. Some of the best bands I've heard in a long, long time. And as always, Wednesday's Black Balloon sessions are always busy at the Belgrave, so do join us there if you get the chance. And lots of things happening at the King's, the Thriller Live, as well as lots of live bands at the King's Theatre. The New Theatre Royal recently had Ferrum playing out the wonderful Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I played Wargrave many, many years ago. Yes, I did. 10 Little Indians and all that poetry happening. Well, it's an insight into some of the real plays out there, although I'm much more musical myself. And now those guys, along with the company that we've produced and worked with and directed and co-starred with over many years with different companies, are at the New Theatre Royal in April with Evita, with a new Argentina for you all. And it will be a wonderful, wonderful show, I'm told. And to be involved in it, somewhat covering the show, is going to be great as well. And of course, Mac and Mabel is in the very, very early constructions of happening later on in September at the King's, as I mentioned, as is Titanic in April at the King's Theatre, which has recently been cast, and a stellar cast, may I say, very, very good. And lots of other happenings in and around the city. The Wedgwood Rooms, the the Albert and Deco and the Fox and the Lord John Russell and O'Neill's and the Fifth Hants and the Festing, all the great bars and pubs that are along Albert Road, the Duke of Devonshire et al. Marmion House is doing great business with the food and lovely cuisine there down on Marmion Road, along with Patigliano and the guys up near Waitrose and Marmion, the actual pub, the Marmion. And of course, along Palmerston Road, many great places open too, from the Monarch and all the other great places across the Drift and everywhere else. And the Lord Palmerston, of course, if you want a bit more tradition. And the Phoenix and all the other places in and around town that you can pop to for a little drink or two or beverage if you're on your entertainment evenings of going to see Jules Jim, which is about to open at the cinema, or the tail end of West Side Story with the 60th anniversary production on the screen, and of course all the other wonderful happenings at the many theaters across our lands. So much happening. But yes, I have been frustrated and a little angry this weekend, so if some of you caught me on my journeys where I was screaming and hollering, I apologize, but few people have been rubbing me up the wrong way, and I don't mean my genitalia or my tits and ass. I mean rubbing my mood and my emotions up a little the wrong way. I don't care if people touch their genitals. Who does these days? We can all readjust ourselves or scratch a tit or adjust our penises and our asses if we want to. It's our bodies, and our bodies are nobody's business but our own. Lessons to be learned for all of you stalwarts and right-wing stuff-nosed people out there. Get a grip. Anyway, onwards we go into the hillsides of our wonderful lands. And from the hills have eyes. Well, they don't just have eyes, they have dreams, as we all do. And our dreams this year will happen. And I defeat anyone who stands in my way. Thoughts of Westminster Abbey when I was in London at the Palace, and I was on my knees praying for the human race so many times, and I wasn't pretending, ladies and gentlemen. And with our prayers and our thoughts, we save each other and the human race. The power of thought and prayer is stronger than you will ever believe or ever know. So think on. And our dreams, not just in California, but around the globe, here in good old Blighty and everywhere around the world, make a difference. And when we make our dreams happen, the world changes for the better. And I remember producing, being on the production table for Musical Magic, which I won Best Choreography for in the What's on Stage Awards. I beg your pardon, not the What's on Stage Awards, the Daily Echo Curtain Call Awards for Musical Magic, a great piece. And good to look to Mama Cass there and the mamas and papas for their California dreaming. And, the dreams that we have to put into reality, and that is what we're doing right now, making things happen. And those negative old bastards out there who try and fuck up the world, you won't be able to do that this year because we are carrying on and making things happen beautifully. You can tell I'm mourning slightly today, can't you? And I may be on my period a little bit, but we have to talk about these things, get it all out in the open and clear the air. And I do remember though, California Dreaming was part of Musical Magic with Nigel at the baton, and with Marina on the production table, who's recently appeared in And Then There Were None all those years ago. Do you remember? What fun we had. And we have good days and bad days. And Marina always was a firm believer in telling the company that. We're not always peaches and cream and smiling, but sometimes we have lovely, beautiful days. Sometimes we have days of anger, days of frustration. And we say all sorts when we're angry. But there we are. California dreaming. Make your dreams happen. I will. And we'll make it all come to life and to get on with things. I'm not having folks standing in our ways this year. You've been told. And as we open with The House on the Hill, let's go to The Castle on the Hill from Ed Sheeran now. Something a bit more up to date for you all. Great artist, one of our redheads, our fiery redheads, and seems appropriate with my mood to have a little redhead action going on. I was speaking to Jake the other day, and he was saying, you know, some of us redheads, and I've had red hair a few times in my career, let me tell you, and we need calming down a little more than others sometimes. It's the Viking in us, I tell you.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. And I was running from my brother and his friends, and tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down. I was younger then. Take me back to when I found my heart, broke it, made friends and lost them through the years. And I've not seen the boring fields in so long. I know I've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. 15 years old, smoking and rolled cigarettes, running from the law through the backfields and getting drunk with my friends. Had my first kiss on a Friday night. I don't reckon that I did it right, but I was younger then. Take me back to when we found weekend jobs, when we got paid. We'd buy cheap spirits and drink them straight. Me and my friends have not thrown up in so long. Oh, how we've grown, but I can't wait to go home. I'm on my way, driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill.
The great Ed Sheeran there, over the castle on the hill. And let me tell you, in the open air, not just in the castle or in the houses, but when we've all been free and easy and open air, the things we've got up to, oh my, oh my. Flashed a bit of cleavage, shown a bit of ankle, had a fumble in the bushes. Or a little bit of rumpy-pumpy in the wide open spaces. That's all to come in the summer months, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just forewarn you. Teaching the younger generations how free and wonderful and libertines we once were and will all be again. Oh, how wonderful the world is. And not just when we're on the top of the world, on the hills, at the highest points and highest peaks of the landscape, but down in the valleys as well with the Welsh whales and the things we can get up in the valleys. Oh my, oh my. Tarn Wells here for you now. Hills and valleys. As it's for the 50s, today, 1950, the 50-year-olds, and all of us that have approached 50 and looked forward to the hills and valleys and got over the hills and valleys.
You wipe my tears away, and I felt the pain of heartbreak, and I've seen the brighter days, and I pray prayers to heaven from my lowest place, and I have held the blessings God you give and take away. No matter what I have, your grace is enough. No matter where I am, I'm standing in your love. On the mountains, I will bow my life to the one who set me there. In the valley, I will lift my eyes to the one who sees me there. When I'm standing on the mountain, I didn't get there on my own. When I'm walking through the valley, I know I am not alone. You're God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys, God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone. I've watched my dreams get broken. In you I hope again. No matter what, I know I'm safe inside your hand. On the mountains I will bow my life to the one who set me there. In the valley I will lift my eyes to the one who sees me there. When I'm standing on the mountain, I didn't get there on my own. When I'm walking through the valley, I know I am not alone. You're God of the hills and valleys, hills and valleys, God of the hills and valleys, and I am not alone. Father, you give and take away every joy and every pain. Through it all, you will remain. Over it all, Father, you give and take away every joy and every pain. Through it all, you will remain. Over it all.
So a little bit of the hills and valleys there from the great vocals of Tarn Wells. Great song. And of course, health and safety warning if you are going to play out in the open fields and valleys and hills and bushes and gardens and all of those kind of things over the oncoming warmer weather. You can go out in the cold as well if you want, or in the forests and in the woodlands and things like that. Just be careful and don't just be aware of the dangers, but be careful and enjoy yourselves and be free to do what you want as long as you're careful, folks. We will. All right. Now, onwards and upwards for all of our things concerning the hills. And, I think back to my childhood, rolling down Portsdown Hill and having fun up at the Burger Wagon, getting all of our chips and takeaways, sat looking over the city. Oh, it's beautiful by moonlight up there, and all of the forts on the hill, which have great events of like Knights of the Round Table and murder mystery parties and things like that. They're all good fun. As well as the great little bars and pubs that are up along there. And it's great, not just there, along in Brighton, and there's lots of seafront bars, aren't there, in Bournemouth, where Peter Pansy is happening in a few weeks, guys, at the Allendale Theatre. So get your eyes and booking for that. Get your eyes out and see a little bit of variation on lifestyles, maybe different from your own. And, of course, checking out for your many, many events here, there, and just about everywhere. And as I said, I have been mourning a little bit this last couple of weeks, and to my mom, who is the most beautiful carer in the around our area, who has kept the care so relevant and necessary for so many years and so many people. We lost one of our dear friends, and Mom's cared for him for nearly 11 years now. So, Bob, God bless you, and may you sleep sweetly in the stars. And from my mom and all the family to Lynn and their children and children's children and children's children's children. Our thoughts are with you, darling. And for all of you that have cared and nursed and been there for many of our different demographics of society, thank you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being a part of, caring makes the world of difference to all of us. And to Jan and family, of course. And I know that, everybody's been in mourning as much as we're trying to have a happy new year. It's important to remember some of us are going through tougher times. So my thoughts with everybody. All right, and we don't need more hassle in our lives outside of what we're all going through already, and making things happen. We are, as I said, I've been dancing and choreographing and getting the show biz back to normal, as life has to go on. We have to think on and keep a stiff upper lip and get on with our world, and we're all different. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, and I'll say it every week so we all remember that. All right, more songs for the hills now, and those that have got to the ripe old age of 50, well done. Those that have progressed through the into the second part of their century, well, here's another one for you guys. This one from John Wesley, who was a great composer of the 1800s. And in each century, a little trivia for you now, the Johns and Wesleys usually begin each century, in of the recent centuries of the past sort of 400 or 500 years. And the compositions and music and hymns that were written at the beginning of the 1800s were by the lyrics and the music of John Wesley, before the Sondheims, before Kander and Ebb, before Puccini, before Weber, before many of our great composers of this century, or indeed the last century. There was the John Wesleys, who led us by hymn and by music. And here's one from 1865, Go Tell It on the Mountain, as we're up on the top of the hills, mountains, and valleys today. And it's interesting, isn't it, in the last 20 years, how significant some of the Johns and Wesleys have been in the beginning of this, our 21st century, and indeed our millennium. Isn't that interesting? Here we are. Go tell it on the mountain when we need to. From Maverick City Music here. Great version.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is the shepherds have been watching for silent flocks by
The wonderful Melvin Crispell III and Chandler Moore, Maverick City Music. How amazing is that version? Go Tell It on the Mountain. And how so relevant songs from our mid 1800s and before are in 2022. It's amazing. And just how important some people are and some other people don't realize. But it takes all of us to make a world or build a city or write a piece. And indeed, what's the old saying? It takes a whole village to raise a child. Well, never a truer word spoken. And just how important everybody is. Black, white, yellow, green, orange. I don't care if you're from another planet or another city. We're all important and hold our relevance somewhere to someone, somehow. And family and friends and all of us realizing a new world is afoot to carry on. Now, last week I played a little of threepenny opera, or Mac the Knife, as it was reinvented on the screen for in 1989 with Raoul Julia, as we were celebrating all the artists who have been associated with the musical Nine. Well, this week I take you not to the threepenny opera, but the Beggar's Opera. I'm getting a little operatic for you all, for those who like a bit more fine-toned classic music. And this one here is the Beggar's Opera, a great, great show, and a song called Over the Hills and Far Away. So a show that premiered in 1728 at Lincoln's Innfield Theatre in London, long, long time ago. And a great show that's gone on to be reproduced and reimagined many times in many of the opera houses here and around the world. It's actually a variation of threepenny opera, which Kurt Weill took inspiration from. And it holds many of the same characters, Mr. Peachum and Polly and McKeith and Filch and all of those great, well-known characters of the yesteryears. So an earlier version before Weill updated it, and then it was updated again in Mac the Knife in the 1980s. So here's a little insight into some of the early works by Johann Christoph Pepusch, as it was originally written by the satirical ballad opera, the Beggar's Opera, Over the Hills and Far Away. And a little bit of trivia for you. This is from John Gay's 1728 version of the Beggar's Opera. Again, the Johns and Wesleys, the early part of the century is how we create. David Burt and Elizabeth Renan.
Were I laid on Greenland's coast, and in my arms embraced my lass, warm amidst eternal frost, too soon the half-year's night would pass.
Were I sold on Indian soil, soon as the burning day was closed, I could mark the sultry toil when on my charmer's breast reposed.
And I would love you all the day.
Every night we kiss and play
If with me you'd fondly stray,
over the hills and far away.
Little insight into, that's the Royal Shakespeare's version of the show, but it was the version reproduced from 1978, 1728. How some of the shows stand the test of time, from all those years ago. A little insight into our hills and valleys today. And now to something that'll lighten our moods from the comedy rather than the darker operas of the world. The Beverly Hillbillies, a part of our family tree, inciting from the wonderful television show from 1962 through to 1971, the good old years. And these themes will bring back so many memories of great childhoods and just how wonderful and characterful some of our family has been over the years. And great to look back on these moments. The Beverly Hillbillies. And what did Carlotta sing in Follies? I've been through Reno. I've been through Beverly Hills. But we're here. Living on. The Beverly Hillbillies as we do. Still here. And still just as wonderful.
Come and listen to a story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a buffalo crude. Oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there. Said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is, swimming pools, movie stars. The Beverly Hillbilly.
Oh, how wonderful, huh? Remembering those good old days and a little of the age of innocence there and the first discoveries of oil and the big old landscape from out in the sticks to the big city. Wonderful. And so much a part of our heritage, huh? Our rich tapestry of all the parts of life that we've come from and learned from. Marvelous. And moving on from the Hill Street Blues into the Hill Street Blues, which was 1981 to 1987 on our screens, and a little more modern into the 80s, and how things were then, and how a lot of people get stuck in those eras and realize that things have evolved, and some people don't realize how things have evolved since those days of cops and chases and things like that, and well, just an insight into, again, some of our hill themes. Good to look back and think of our history, isn't it? And what got us all to where we are today and how things have changed, but how a lot of things stay the same. No matter how hard we try and push them into the 21st century. Good themes. Always reminds me of when I was a kid. After watching the cartoons and then coming home and tea time, these themes were playing out along with Cagney and Lacey and Dallas and Dynasty and all those shoulder pads, remember? And the tassels. How fashion was. Oh, it's a wry smile on my face from my period that I began this show with. All right, the Hill Street Blues there. We're doing a short show this week as we've all got things to do and I got a lot of putting to practice. So we're getting a short and sweet this week, folks. And from all the great things, and I mentioned cartoons there, and Mom and I were walking the dogs along in and around Hailing Island, our wonderful coastal plains along the west coast and the east coast and out across the fields of St. Mary's. And we passed a little hillside just on the island. It's very flat on the island, the coastline. But, there's a little hilly area. And some of the kids and families were walking by were like, oh, it reminds us of Teletubbies. And I was like, oh my gosh, it does, the landscape there. Well, I thought, why not? As we're on the theme of hills. And some of our costumes on stage have been similar to that of the Teletubby costumes, be it in Priscilla or at the gala or at the King's. Remember when we did the Lord Mayor's Gala with our wild headdresses, all twists and turns, and pinks, greens, oranges, blues, purples, and our wonderful, wild, extravagant alien outfits? Well, it reminds me of the Teletubbies. So a little remix here of those wonderful 90s and noughties. Over the hills and far away. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be entering our 51st edition next week as I've celebrated with you today our wonderful 50th episode. Wonderful. I'm so pleased. And hopefully we can all grow up, well, a little wiser if we learn our lessons, but sometimes we don't. And we enjoy being frivolous and fun no matter how old we are. You're only as young as the man you feel. Take care now, folks. Tune in next week for more fun and frolics. I walked our East Coast of England for the very first time just a couple of weeks ago with Mom and the dogs. It was glorious, that landscape, and reminded me of those screen moments of the Teletubbies. Taking you back to your childhoods.
Over the hills and far away, Teletubbies come to play.
1, 2, 4.
For my very, very younger generations in the family, for all the newborns, and for the younger generations, Indy and Charlie and Ted and Winter and all you glorious new members of the family. Welcome to the wonderful land. It's a crazy world, so we all got to get used to one another.
Tinky Winky, Dipsy, La La, Ho, Teletubbies, say hello. Tinky Winky, Dipsy, La La, Ho, Teletubbies,
And indeed, we magically welcome all the new kids to the family and our ever-extending world, you know. Procreation means the human race survives. So welcome to all the new members of the family and, of course, to all the new members that are tuning in to listen to our wonderful dulcet tones and how wild and wonderful we are. Take care, folks. God bless you all, and let's make this year a good one. Bye now.